The biggest stars in the game come to after hours, and this is all the proof you need. The good thing, PK, is that with the Predators road trip over, you're not flying home tonight, you're going in the morning, so we have the entire program to figure out what makes you tick. Will that be long enough, do you think?
However long you need me, Scott, I'm just happy to be on here with you, man.
Nice of you to say. Well, I want to start with the funny because you know humor. I can't think of another professional athlete that's ever done a stand-up set, and you killed at the Just for Laughs Festival in August of 16, otherwise known as the Summer of the Trade.
Over the past 6 years, almost every single person in the city has embraced me with open arms. Really, guys have. So even though, and I'm sorry, and the ones who didn't, well, those are the people that traded me, right?
Okay. We will break down that joke as we go along tonight, but what I want to know now is it true that you didn't get that script until that afternoon?
Yeah, I didn't see it until that afternoon, and the producers and everybody, the scriptwriters, they kind of went over it with me for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, half hour, and then we did a walkthrough, and then that was it. They had teleprompters there, but you know, it's tougher to do that with jokes because the timing's got to be right. It's not like you're just reading off the teleprompter. You got to know when to pause, know when not to. But I didn't really have a chance to practice. No.
See, that speaks ill for all of us who like to think we're comfortable in front of the camera, because if that was me, I'd have been in front of the mirror for at least a week trying to get that routine down pat. Anyway, here's another example of your comfort level in front of the camera, a spot-on imitation of a Canadian icon.
Oh, here we go.
He goes out here. Now look at this. He goes out here. You do that. And I'm telling you, back in the day when we had Semenko and these guys, they took care of that stuff. PK is a good player. I mean, he's no Bobby Orr.
How long did it take you to get grapes down, Pat?
Oh, man. You know what? I was just having fun. I didn't even know anybody was really filming. I think there was a guy in front of me, and then I guess they posted it, and then it kind of went viral. But, I mean, anybody that knows me knows how much respect I have for Don Cherry, and especially the Canadian players in the National Hockey League. We've all grown up watching Don Cherry, and I know that for me and my family, I watched Don Cherry because my dad watched Don Cherry all the time. So, Grapes, I hope he's watching. Love you.
I think he'd be flattered. You transcend the game, but there's got to be some hockey talk here tonight. So let's start with tonight's game, where, as in every game you play, your personality is on full display from the warm-up on. What do you think when you hear people say, this is too much?
It probably is. You know what? I just kind of do me, and you know, things happen. But at the end of the day, everybody's got to be themselves, and you know, I just try to have fun. That's me having fun out there, and I like to have fun with my teammates, and they enjoy it, and they get good chuckles out of it. And if it keeps everybody loose, then great. As long as I do my job on the ice and I continue to perform, then that's all that matters, I'm sure, to my teammates and coaching staff and the organization.
You were 61 minutes away from winning the Stanley Cup last June, and one of the problems I think the Predators had was lack of depth at center. Ryan Johansson was hurt. He's back now, and that position has been buttressed with the trade for Kyle Turris. Did the acquisition of Turris say to you that the Predators are in it to win it?
Oh, for sure, and I think that there was so much talk last year about, you know, the trade with me and Shea, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the Montreal market, and obviously, you know, with, you know, all the plays that, all the games that I played in Montreal and the history there between me and the organization. But I mean, not enough is said about the trades of Ryan Johansson and Philip Forsberg and now Kyle Turris. I mean, Kyle Turris has been a huge acquisition to our team, and it's really just, it's changed our identity a little bit. Like you said about the depth, I mean, we do have that depth at center now, and it's not just him, but collectively as a group, we're confident. But he's come in just so easily, and he's a great guy off the ice, great player. I played against him, played with him at World Juniors, watched him kind of throughout his whole career, and we're just really, really happy to have him.
Back to your comfort level on stage. So in July of 16, you head to Nashville and you go right to the world famous Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, where you get on stage and rip a Johnny Cash classic.
When I was just a baby, my mama told me,
how tight are those pants?
Okay, so again, just let me up there and I'll kill it. Were there no butterflies?
No, you know what? Anybody that knows me or my teammates, I'm never afraid to make fun of myself or to mess up or to make a mistake. And I'm just that type of guy. I've always been that type of guy, anyone that knows me. And I think when I went to Nashville, I wanted them to feel comfortable with me coming there. I think everybody knew how much I love playing in Montreal and how much I love the city and the community and everything with the hospital and giving back and giving so much to that city. Coming here, I think, I wanted to kind of kill any question about me being happy to be in Nashville, and I wanted to embrace it fully. And if that meant sometimes I went over the top a little bit, then so be it. I think everybody understood that I wanted to be there, and I wanted an opportunity to win a Stanley Cup with them and to bring the first Stanley Cup to Nashville. I mean, in Montreal they got 24, but there's something to be said about maybe having the opportunity to bring the first one to Nashville.
Going to get to your charitable work in a second here, but I want to stick with music for the moment. Your taste is wide-ranging, from country,
everything,
country
Love
to hip-hop,
everything.
and here you are saving an aging commentator from a pathetic attempt at last year's All-Star game.
I got something. I'm going to try it on both you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with the big boss dog himself. He knew the job was dangerous when he took it. If you're scared, go to church. What's the realest thing you ever heard?
Keep your mind on your money and your money on your mind.
Notice Connor McDavid
Did I sound
was
hip or just pathetically sad?
Very, very happy. I think you nailed it. You nailed it.
Connor McDavid was
Ron,
an
back to
innocent
you.
bystander. He had no idea what was going on. You've actually become friends with Snoop Dogg, D-O-double-Jizzy.
Yes.
You have got him on speed dial?
You know what? I do have his number, and Snoop's. Anybody. Throughout my family and friends, everyone loves Snoop Dogg. Even if you're not a fan of rap, or hip hop, he's just so cool. How do you not like him? And he actually had sent me a direct message on Twitter a couple of years ago, and that's how I got in touch with him. He had sent me a direct message. He had said he was a big fan and how much he loved it, and he wanted to do some charity stuff with me in Montreal. And I had to double take. I had checked the page a million times just to make sure it was him, and I was like, oh, it is him. So I responded, and it just so happened that a week later we were going to LA, and he had said, hey, if you're in LA and you want to stop by the Dog Pound, you're more than welcome to do that. And I stopped by and I saw him, and I spent about 2.5 hours with him in the mothership, that he calls it, as his main kind of recording lab, and it was awesome. He's a huge hockey fan, so I was happy to see him as a part of the All-Star game last year.
Tweet from Ray Morrison: favorite country band singer and the most famous musician you have met in Nashville?
Oh, definitely most famous I've ever met was Garth Brooks. Recently. What a gentleman he is. Just a breath of fresh air, and to be able to watch him in concert was my first time. It was one of the best concerts I had ever been to. One of the best performances I've ever seen, and just a stand-up guy. And my favorite, Johnny Cash. How do you not like Johnny Cash? His style, his charisma, everything about him. Oh yeah, I love it. I love him. I know all the songs, and he's the greatest. So I'd have to go with Johnny Cash.
Grew up in a family of 7, so that's your parents and 5 kids. You like to say that your sisters, Natasha and Natasha, along with your mother Maria, ran the house.
Yes.
By the way, your sisters, and here they are, have made their mark as university basketball players and now as teachers. And Natasha is on the record as saying, as a kid, PK, you were a royal pain. Looking back on it, objectively as you can, does she have a point?
Oh, 1,000%. I wouldn't there. Look at that, the thumb in the mouth.
And you sure love the camera.
I always love the camera, but you know what? I wouldn't trade anything in the world to have grown up with, 5 kids in our family. It was the best. And I look back at it now, and just seeing my sisters now kind of grow up and have kids of their own and families is something special. And I love my brothers and sisters, love my family. I'm very, very lucky to have had the family that I had my whole life and now, and they continue to support me, but definitely was probably a royal pain in the behind. I could only imagine what it must have been like to be a sister or brother of mine growing up.
Well, you've confessed on network TV, so that's perfect. Here's a picture of the men of the family, nicely attired in your clothing line, RW and Company suits.
Correct.
Looking very sharp. You with your brothers Jordan and Malcolm and your father Carl.
Yes.
Why does Malcolm on the left look like he wants to be anywhere else but in this picture?
Because we wanted to go for something like just kind of balance the picture out, and Malcolm's that's always Malcolm's script within our family. Jordan kind of could care less. Malcolm just kind of does his own thing. But I think in this picture we wanted to mix it up a little bit and have some balance. And then we also did that other picture that's on the cover of my dad's book, how we did it, so which is a pretty special one. But you know, we're so close as a family. We always kid around, and people always look into so many different things. And I think people always thought that maybe me, Malcolm, and Jordan would be similar, but we're so different. It's pretty awesome, though. I love my brothers, and they're both doing well.
You are a fashionista. Look at you tonight. You're spot on, as we'd like to say.
As Ric Flair would say, styling and profiling. Woo!
And I look like...
You look amazing. You look
so?
great. Yeah, but
No.
you know what?
What?
The only it's not an RW and Co suit.
Ah,
so,
okay.
You know.
Well,
we can hook that up.
We
though.
can't be working contra on this
We
show.
can hook that up.
You're not without passion. It's Jack Victor, by the way. I got to give them a plug because they supply the Sportsnet suits.
They're pretty good. Are they out of Montreal?
Are they? Yes, they are. Yes,
I
I'm
knew
being
they were out
told
of
they are.
Montreal, yeah.
So, you got any Jack Victor suits? Oh, let's cut
No,
this
I
nonsense
don't.
out.
RW and Co all the way.
You are not without fashion influence. You're a fashionista. So Jaden plays, I think, for a Pee Wee team. I think it's in Philadelphia.
Yes.
You retweeted this a few weeks ago. This is Jaden before a game, channeling
Handsome
his
guy.
inner PK. What do you think?
Handsome guy. I mean, I was cracking up about it, and I thought he deserved a retweet for sure. He's a good-looking kid. I'd like to get him in an RW and Co suit or get my tailor in Montreal, Sarto Rialto, to get him teed up nicely. But that's a nice jacket. That looks like the one I'm wearing right now.
Exactly.
Wow.
It looks like the same one. You're right. Malcolm is tending goal now for the Las Vegas Golden Knights, so that presented a special game 1 week ago last night in Nashville. Brother versus brother with your father Carl in the middle. I know you understand why Carl decided to wear the Vegas sweater on this night. And then it went to a 6-round shootout with Malcolm staring down the Predators. You were not called for the shootout, but how could you not have been sitting on the bench thinking, pick me because I know how to beat this guy?
Well, obviously, I would have been excited to go, but our coach wanted to win the game, so he decided not to go with me, and I think that was the right decision. You look up and down our lineup, our team's so deep, and you know what? Our games now in the NHL, they're not based on fairy tales. You know, the fairy tale ending would have been to have me go and either score on Malcolm or to have him stop me and him celebrate and gives everybody something to talk about. But we're trying to win a hockey game. And you know, today we won that game. We're in first in the West. I think we're 2 points out of first in the league. That's important. That's more important than me going to shoot on Malcolm. Hopefully in my career I get the opportunity to do it, though.
Got a tweet here from Weidman. How do you characterize your relationship with your brothers during the season and off-season, respectively? Answer this question by reacting to this story. I heard it today. I can't tell you where I got it from, but it comes indirectly from Malcolm. In your first couple of years in the league, you came home, and Malcolm was really proficient at video games. So you took him on in a best of 7. He beat you 3 straight. You refused to play the 4th and potentially deciding game. Went away and practiced for 2 weeks and came back and beat him 4 straight. Is that true?
That's 1,000% true. And that's part of the reason why I don't play video games anymore, because these kids they're unbelievable at it. I'm not good at it, but I remember when I was younger, I remember that exactly happening. We always had battles with the video games going on. You know, Malcolm, the one thing about him is that he's really good at that stuff. You know, he's really, really smart, a lot smarter than me. So I used to bully him a lot as kids, and now he's got at least 2 or 3 inches on me, and he's solid. So I haven't picked on him lately.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about your return to Montreal and why you were and still are adored in the city of Montreal. PK Subban is our guest on After Hours. Welcome back to Scotiabank Saddledome. Our guest on After Hours is PK Subban. Man, you've got to be tired, PK, about questions to do with the trade from Montreal, so here's a bunch. Actually, not a bunch, just this one. And you nailed this, I guess, in your Just for Laughs clip. Everybody in Montreal embraced you, but the people who didn't traded you. Your exact quote when you were on the way to Nashville was, "I'm happy to be going to a city where they just want me to be me." Do you feel more comfortable being yourself in Nashville?
Yeah, you know what? I think that when I came in, it's the first call that I had was with Peter Laviolette, and he told me, listen, we want you to be yourself. We want you to come in and work hard, be a good teammate like you've always been, and just be yourself. Bring the energy that you bring every day. And I think it's contagious. I think as long as you continue to embrace your teammates the right way, there's nothing wrong with coming to the rink every day and having energy, and I think it's contagious, like I said, and my teammates have been great. I mean, I love these guys, and I think they love me, and we get along great, and we have a ton of fun, and winning's the best way to have fun, and we've done a lot of that.
So this was the return to Montreal. First game back was March of last
Yoshi's
season.
going to love this. He loves watching. He always makes fun of me when he says this.
Well, there was a ceremony. There were prolonged PK chants, a standing ovation. Where in your hockey memories do you think that one day may fit?
It's one of the best for sure. I mean, Montreal, and regardless of what everybody says, they gave me the opportunity to play in the NHL and believed in me. And, they paid me a lot of money as well. And Jeff Molson and all the ownership group were great to me while I was there, and great to my family and players, training staff, everybody. I mean, I really enjoyed my time there. So to see them, and it says a lot too about how classy that organization is, the way that they put together that highlight reel. And I didn't know what to expect going in, but they hit it bang on, and I was very happy, and my family was, and I think it was a great way to kind of tie the bow on my time there, and I'm very, very thankful for that, and it'll definitely rank up there with some of my best memories for sure.
Tweet from Ayush Das. I think I might have the name right. What do you think?
Ayush.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your friendship with Pricey was adorable, he says. Who's your best friend on Nashville now?
Oh, you know what? It's so interesting. I've never seen a team where, like, everybody kind of, doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're from Europe or from Toronto or from the U.S., it seems like everybody's kind of known each other for so long. So, when we go out to dinner, we go out in droves. It's a big group, and everybody gets along. I'm close to everybody. I always try to mix it up, and but you
spread the love.
Yos and I, it's like a love-hate relationship. We go at it every day, but we love each other and we get along great. And I know coming into this team, I was really excited to play with a guy like him, and I don't think enough people talk about how great of a hockey player he is, and I think he's starting to get a lot more recognition.
It's taken some
now.
time, but he's acknowledged as one of the best for sure.
He's great.
Do you still talk to Kerry?
Of course, every now and then I definitely talk to him. I sent him a text. I saw him when Montreal came in. He wasn't playing, but I got to talk to him there. And, I try to let guys do their own thing. Everybody's so busy during the season, and he's got a child now, a beautiful baby with his wife Angela, and try to give him his space.
You have been loyal to the hundreds of children at the Montreal Children's Hospital, where you have made a $10 million commitment, and you are a frequent visitor. When you were told about the trade, how soon did you think about the Montreal Children's Hospital?
Well, right away, I think that it was definitely one of the first thoughts that I had, and I knew right away. I said, I'm sure the people at the hospital and the people who drove down the 401 and sat down at my dining room table to kind of present me this opportunity of doing something special in the city. I was hoping that they weren't, feeling that I was going to quit on them. And I remember the first call to Mary Jose, who's not there now. She works at McGill, but who was kind of the prime suspect in making sure that, that I was going to be able to fulfill that commitment, called me, and I told her right away. I said, I'm 1,000% sticking to the commitment. And so far, I can't talk about that commitment without talking about my team, PKSS management with our leader. First of all, my agent, Donnie Meehan, who's been managing me since I was 14 years old. And, now with WME, with Jill Smoller, and my sister, Nastasia, Natasha, and Caroline, and Alex, and Martin Ross, all the people that have continued to help me and contributed to, kind of bridging that gap between me being in Nashville now and fulfilling that commitment.
Okay, we got about 2 minutes left, so we got to jam this in as best we can. In September, you were asked, like many black athletes, if you would join the protest and kneel during the anthem. Your response was no, because I respect the flag too much, but you went beyond that and said you wanted to be part of the solution. So tell me about Blue Line Buddies.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm not American. I'm Canadian, and I know everybody in Canada knows that. But for a lot of the fans that, maybe in the U.S., they're not sure about where I'm from, I am Canadian. And one of my favorite moments, of playing every hockey game is when the national anthem plays. I mean, if you ever watch me, I can't sit still. That's my moment of kind of turning the switch on and getting jacked up, and I wasn't going to change that for anybody. Second of all, I think it's also the decision of our team. You know, you don't just represent yourself when you play, you represent your teammates and the organization. And I think about the ownership, and, you know, listen, they've spent a lot of money to own this hockey club, and they put a lot into wanting to see fans come into the building every day. And I thought about it, and I respect everybody. You know, it's your right in the United States to exercise your right as an American to do what you choose. And
Blue Line Buddies before we're out of time.
Yeah, no problem. Blue Line Buddies, yeah. So Blue Line Buddies, I started the program. It was to bridge the gap between underprivileged youth and law enforcement in Nashville, and we kind of we sent a letter out to every professional sports league and team, and tried to encourage them to get involved, and it's been great so far. And that was my way of saying, you know what, I'm not going to kneel for the national anthem, but I'm going to do something, you know, that's not divisive, but something that kind of solves the issue. And I think everybody
Bridge the divide
received it well.
between
Exactly.
young people and police.
Build
right?
a bridge, exactly,
Right.
and it's been received great.
Perfect. Well, PK, you are everywhere, and it's been a delight to have you on
You
the
don't want to
program
go on
today.
for another 20 minutes?
No,
I
there's
can go
news
on.
coming. I know it's.
Let's go. I can go.
The great ones have one name, and when we say PK, you know what we're talking about. PK Subban was our guest on After Hours tonight.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks
Scott.
a lot, PK.
Honestly, it's an honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Back to conclude the proceedings at Scotiabank Saddledome in a moment. One week tonight, 2 sleeps to Christmas. We'll be in Vancouver for the Blues and Canucks. That does it for this edition of After Hours. Thanks for watching tonight. We bid you good night from Calgary.